Welcome one and all.
What are you, Santa?
Welcome one and all. I sounded stupid when I said it the first time.
You sounded stupid when you said it the second time, too.
What are you talking about? I sounded good. So, welcome one and all. Anyways, third time's the charm to episode 57 of This Is Reviewable. We're playing some catch up ball going on here. We watched so many movies over the Christmas holidays, it kind of made both of our heads spin, and we're a little bit behind. So here we go with some of the ones that we actually saw a couple weeks ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's just jump right in. The first one is The Order 2024, starring one Jude Law, one guy from Ready Player One, and one Nicholas Hoult. Did I miss anyone? So it's a crime thriller and it's based on a true story. I was a little bit confused about exactly where this was taking place because,
It's the Pacific Northwest.
yeah, I know, but Jude Law is an FBI agent and he gets stationed out in
Coeur d'Alene.
Idaho, Coeur d'Alene, but he goes to Colorado, he goes to Washington at one point. It was unclear to me where these guys were stationed, but basically he catches wind of this white supremacist group that is beginning to militarize. They're beginning to, do some bad things. They're blowing up not synagogues. They blow up theaters, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
But it's and then they blow up prawn theaters, and then they go and rob banks. They're making threatening threats to Jewish groups, and he thinks that they're dangerous, and he thinks that they're behind these bank robberies, and so he pursues them, doesn't he?
Yeah. We were really looking forward to this movie
Yeah,
because we love a good old Jude Law.
yeah.
Um,
And I love a good crime thriller. I love a good heist investigative movie. I love Heat. I love Point Break. I think both of those are great.
and Nicholas Hoult has had a year.
Oh my word, he's had a year. Because this is, okay, juror number two, The Order, Nosferatu. Just off the top of my head. That's probably it. That's probably all he had time for, right?
Yeah, that's still a lot.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, three movies, and not just three movies, but three critically acclaimed movies too. It's been a good year for him.
Mm-hmm.
But this one is just okay.
Yeah.
That's the best thing I can say for it. It's let's just go through our notes, I guess. So my first one is the pacing felt uneven. I didn't get a sense I didn't really get any kind of a sense for how long of a time had passed from Jude Law getting to Coeur d'Alene to the midpoint of the movie to the end of the movie. I had no sense of how much time had passed. And unfortunately, the movie does want you to feel a sense of closeness that Jude Law supposedly has with his partner and with his superior.
They did not do a very good job of setting up his character, in my opinion.
Which, who, Jude Law's
Yeah.
character or anyone's character?
Anyone, but especially Jude Law.
Right.
Because he gets sent to this office. He's the only agent there, which, like, how is that allowed? And then, he calls his family that doesn't answer and leaves a message basically saying, "Can't wait for you to get here." But it's kind of obvious that, like, things are weird, and then they never really address it.
Right.
And it's like,
It wants too many subplots and too many side characters. It wants to be too many things at once because, like Micah said, it never explores his estranged family, really.
right.
It never really develops his relationship between him and his partner or him and his superior.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it also introduces some juicy tidbits with the villain, who is Nicholas Hoult, like the leader of this
White
white
supremacist group.
supremacist group. It introduces some interesting things going on with his family and potential affairs he's having, and doesn't really explore those either.
No, and they kind of made it really unclear on what was going on with some of that stuff.
Right.
So I felt like,
And on top of this, like mainly it's a heist movie.
yeah.
So it wants to it wants to introduce all these things, but it never resolves most of them in a satisfying way.
Yeah. It kind of felt like one of those movies where you were just dropped in the middle of the movie. But most movies, will circle back and do like, oh yeah, this is where we came from, this is where we're going.
Yeah.
I felt like we got dropped in the middle of this and never got the, hey, this is where we came from.
Yeah.
And
This
so I felt unsettled by that the whole movie because I was like, well, what's going on with, with this and this and this? And it never gets addressed, like you said.
right. Like Lost. We were like lost. Just dropped in the middle of it.
Right, but at least they go back and show you where they came from.
Yeah. Um Another note that I had was, so I don't know really what I was expecting from Jude Law with this performance. He's pretty unrecognizable, and it's mostly his voice. His voice is so different
Yeah.
than any other time I've seen him in a film, and it's really gruff, like I'm mad, just like that. And he has a lot of moments where he has outbursts, where he's supposed to be intimidating and kind of scary. Um, this has been sort of a theme, I guess, this year for me, because in juror number two, a lot of the jurors had outbursts that I felt were
Un-
totally unearned and I wasn't buying at all. There's another movie that I'm blanking on right now that I had that problem with, and I had that problem with this movie too, because he has at least three scenes where he's freaking out on a perp or a fellow officer or whatever, and I'm just like, he went from 0 to 60 with like no provocation at all.
yeah. Well, some of it, there is one part where Ty Sheridan,
Yeah, that's the Ready Player One
yeah, the
guy.
guy from Ready Player One, he's also a pretty big character in this movie. There is a part where, so Jude Law hears about these shenanigans going on with this supremacist group, and he goes down to the local police department and is asking around if they know anything, and the chief kind of just blows him off, and it's like, oh, it's not a big deal, they're not even close to here, like you don't even have to worry about that. And the Ready Player One, his character's name is Jamie. It's like, what are you talking about? They're like a mile down the road, like this group, like we know exactly where they are.
Yeah,
So Jude Law takes this younger officer under his wing and kind of has him help with the investigation. And there's this part where this woman has reported her boyfriend or her partner missing, and nobody's really doing anything about it. And so they go and visit her. And for some reason, I can't remember, they think that he is connected with this white supremacist group.
mm-hmm.
And so on the way over, Jude Law is kind of prepping Jamie on what to say to her because I think he knows her from school or something, like from growing up. And when they get there, Jude Law
Wait,
does.
what? No, other way around, right? Jamie knows her from
That's
school.
what I meant.
Okay.
Sorry, that's what I meant. Jamie knows her from school. And when they get there, Jude Law like gets right in her face and is kind of says a lot of inflammatory things so that she'll walk off, and it's like the good cop bad cop type of thing.
Yeah,
So like that one kind of made sense to me.
yeah, that one was good. But then I don't know. There's other time. Maybe if I watched this again, I wouldn't really be bothered so much by it.
Be honest, you're never gonna watch this
I'm
again.
not gonna watch this again. It just like the heist scenes were okay. None of them were anything special, in my opinion. Anything I hadn't seen before. Like it's definitely not better than the town, the heist scene from the town, or anything from Heat, or really anything from the Place Beyond the Pines either.
Yeah.
Like it's just sort of fine. Like run of the mill sort of a action.
Well, and I don't know that there was that much character development besides Jamie.
Yeah, no, they spent a good amount of time on. Wait, Jamie was the friend, the young police officer.
Yeah.
No, I felt like the best character development was with was it Bob, the supremacist leader? Was that his name? Nicholas Holt.
Oh, yeah, Bob.
Yeah.
I don't know that he really developed as a character though. He just stayed the same.
The most time was spent on him though.
Yeah.
So it just felt uneven. Too many characters I was a little curious about and never got to know all that well. It wanted you to experience payoffs that it didn't really earn for itself with developing relationships, like I've mentioned, and also just spending enough time on some of the subplots to really flesh them out. It just it's just kind of all over the place, and then it sort of ends like it ends in a big action sequence, but it just sort of it's unsatisfying, the
It's
action
just done.
sequence. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it just ends. Maybe that's how it happened in real life. I don't know. One thing that you this is something that you may have heard people complain about that have reviewed this movie. I've heard a couple of people IRL complain about this.
In real life.
Yep. But it's the January 6th blurb at the end. So this is kind of spoilery maybe. Anyway, they tie this movie to January 6th. For those of you that are listening from abroad, maybe if be there any. When I say January 6th, I'm referring to the storming of the US Capitol on January 6th, 2022.
3 or 4? Thought it
No,
was more recent
no,
than
no, no. That
that.
had to have been a lot longer ago because that was after the election that Donald Trump lost. Yeah, you should probably look this up.
21.
Okay.
It feels like it was a lot more recent than
It
that.
does, yeah. So they tie this to January 6th, 2021, which is when a group of disgruntled people
Wow.
stormed the Capitol. There's a lot of controversy. There's a lot of conspiracy theories about who actually incited the riot, who started it. There's moving pieces going on here with January 6th. And the movie seems to want to call everybody that participated or was there in general this, it wants to equate them with the white supremacist group, and what inspired the white supremacist group in this film is the same thing that led to the January 6th insurrection. And people are taking that, you know pretty hard. People are taking
Well,
that personally.
I don't know that it needed to be
it,
there.
it definitely doesn't need to be there. It's not something that like super I'm like whatever.
Well, in my opinion, having done very little research on the whole January 6th thing, is there's a lot of controversy around. Obviously, it's a controversial thing, shouldn't have happened, whatever. Around who the people that were doing the storming were and what their
Yeah,
purpose was and what they were wanting to accomplish.
yeah.
And nobody agrees. It's not like World War II, with the Nazis and Hitler. We can all agree what they were doing was bad and it shouldn't have happened.
Well, and we can trace the origin of everything and
Of
what the group believed in. And with January 6th, surely, for sure I'm sure that there was a portion of the rioters that took the same inspiration as the white supremacists from this movie, but that's not representative of everyone that was there and everyone that was involved. I think that's the problem that people have, is they're sort of lumping everybody together,
yeah,
and it just feels sort of tossed in at the end.
yeah,
So
yeah. I don't know. I don't know that that needed to be there.
no,
It didn't really
yeah, I
make
don't know.
sense. I feel like I don't know.
Yeah. So I guess that's worth mentioning. Bears repeating. But that's not why we don't really like this movie. The reason we don't like this movie is it just is all over the place a little bit. So this is another one of 2024's little disappointments at the end. Sadly, there were a lot of great movies this year.
Wait, I
Um,
wrote down as a good thing because there's this part where Nicholas Holt's character, so he got kicked out of the original white supremacist group that is in this area.
for being too extreme.
Yeah, and he goes back to like their Sunday sermon some period of time later and stands up in the middle of their sermon and starts giving a speech. And basically, he had brought a bunch of his people and they're staggered throughout the congregation and they start chanting. And I don't remember what they were chanting. It definitely wasn't something nice or good. But I wrote down a good chant can get a crowd moving in the direction you want,
Hmm.
which is true.
That also felt sort of like if I was in that crowd and
Started
someone
a chant.
someone that I didn't really know just started interrupted the speaker and started grandstanding. I'm not sure that I would be super down with that. I'd be like, okay, cool. Sit down, please. You're not who I came here to see. So that didn't, maybe they're all a bunch of racists, so they're easily riled. But whatever. I don't even think it's worth talking about spoilers.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay. All right. I'm going to try and speed run these next
Are we
two.
not gonna rate
Oh, you're right. Here's me already wanting to forget about it.
it?
I'd give this a 5. It's a 5 middle of the roads out of 10. No, that's so lame. In trying to establish how middle of the road this rating is, I literally gave it a middle of the road, boring, average, milk toast vanilla sort of rating by our standards, huh?
Yeah.
I'll give this a 5 Jude Law bloody noses out of 10.
They never talked about that either.
Yeah. Yeah, what's going on with him?
Right.
And he's fine by the end of the movie. So like, was he sick? I don't know.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Okay, I think I'm gonna rate this also a 5.
You're just copying me.
Okay. At least I'm gonna come up with a better
You didn't like my second.
rating.
You didn't like my second one?
No, I liked your second one. I'm gonna rate this a 5 confusions.
What? Like the Pokemon move
Sure.
that Mewtwo can learn?
No, I am just confusion about this movie.
I see.
So 5 confusions out of 10.
Okay,
Okay, moving
good.
on.
Should I do Nos first or should I do Fargo?
Do not.
All right,
Or nose.
I went and watched Nos
No, it's nose.
Ferratu. Nosferatu. And watched this on New Year's Day, I think. So
Eve?
it's been no, I think it was
I think
day.
it was Eve.
Oh, if you say so. I watched it on New Year's Day, and
I booked the tickets for you.
um, and it was pretty good. It was pretty good. I will declare to you now, dear viewers, that it was kind of spooky. I was definitely spooked. It looks like I did not write any notes on it. Shame on me. So I'm just kind of going off the rip here. But what did I like about it? So liked the.
Stop.
I like the setting a lot. Like it looks incredible. That's probably what I like most about it.
Was it black and white?
No.
Oh, it was in color?
I watched a video. I wish I could remember more details from the video, but it sort of talks about some of the process of making this movie, and they went to a custom filter company to get filters for their actual cameras to get the right sort of look that Robert Eggers was looking for.
That's the director.
And it's sort of reminiscent. It makes you think black and white, but it's also like there are colors that do pop when they pop, but it's very like blue and gray. But it looks really good. It's not like a really boring blue and gray, sort of like those Marvel movies in the mid 2000s. This is a really, like, because this is a gothic horror movie, so it's supposed to look a little bit blue and steel and just cold and scary. And they did a great job. There is one scene in particular where Nicholas Holt's character is in the middle of a forest. He is traveling to Count Orlok, who's Nosferatu. He's traveling to Count Orlok's castle, and he's at a crossroads in the middle of a forest, and the moon is overhead, and it's just like this really eerie. Snow is falling. You see his like silhouette, and I'm totally butchering this. I'm gonna look up a picture because I sort of forgot what it actually looks like. But I remember thinking, holy, this is really cool.
What did you like about this?
It just looks so eerie and like
It looks like a nice walk.
and so scary. And then a carriage pulls up, and then there's that.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of spooky.
But okay, well, you had to be there. But it's really well lit for how natural it look. Like it looks like this is middle of the night, but
Yeah.
you can see what you need to see, and it's really well done in that way. So this movie looks really gorgeous. There's a scene also where Nosferatu, when he gets to the little German village, he's stretching his hand forward, and it you see the shadow of his hand, and then the camera like becomes aerial, and it's panning over the entire city, and you see a giant shadow of Nosferatu's hand stretching over the entire city.
Like Chernobog?
Yeah, kind of. No, not really.
That's what happens.
No, Chernobog is showing us his nails.
No, there's a part where he reaches his hand out and it starts to cover the whole town.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. In Fantasia?
Did you not watch my video?
I did see your video,
I have that clip in there, I thought.
but how much of the story should I give away? Not much.
Oh,
Sounds good. I'm just kidding. Tell me what you think. Go ahead, tell me.
I think you should tell what the story is. I give a summary and then say
Okay,
that, like our normal format.
so this is Dracula. Is that good enough?
No.
So famously, the original Nosferatu came out in the 20s, I think. Original, A Symphony of Horror, 1922. Yeah. So it came out in 1922, and Bram Stoker, who is the author that wrote Dracula, his widow saw Nosferatu and said, "Huh, this looks familiar," and she sued. And the court's decision was, yeah, this is copyright infringement. Destroy every copy of this movie. And every copy was destroyed except for at least one that somehow was overlooked and made its way over to the United States. And someone watched it, someone else watched it, someone reproduced it. It became a cult classic, and now we have a couple of remakes later. Now we have more Nosferatu movies than like good Dracula movies, which is kind of interesting. But
Mhm.
it's the same sort of premise. You have Nicholas Holt's character who is a solicitor, and he goes to Nosferatu's castle to sell him a house in a town. Nosferatu wants to come to this town. Nosferatu hops on a boat, lives in Romania, right, Transylvania. Hops on a boat, makes his little merry old way over to the town. It's Germany is swapped for England in Nosferatu. In Dracula, Dracula wants to go to London, and in this movie, Nosferatu wants to go to some bum town in Germany. Oh, the reason why. So I don't know if this is in the original Nosferatu, but he's like obsessed with the woman that Nicholas Holt is married to, and
Gnosis?
yeah, Gnosis, and
Hang on.
he I guess like imprinted on her when she was a young girl. This movie is very sexual. He has this like fixation with this woman, and that is why he wants to come to Germany, which that's not in Dracula. In Dracula, he just wants to go to London because he's fascinated by it, and there's lots of people there that he can eat and drink from, and whatever. But very very similar elements like the creepy castle, the look, the fact that he's a vampire, the solicitor going to his house and being trapped there, the solicitor having to jump out the window to escape and float down the river, the idea that both Nosferatu and Dracula need to go to bed in their coffins. They need to go bed to go bed they need to go bed by in the land where they're from. So in Dracula, he brings a bunch of crates of earth with him on his voyage across the ocean so that he can hide them throughout London. So he has like, cribs to crash at.
Sick.
Nosferatu needs to do that too. So he brings his casket with him. So there's just a ton of similarities, except there's the whole, the reason Nos is going is because he wants to get it on with a Lily Rose Depp. That's what this movie's about. But it's very spooky. It's very creepy. There is a very strong possession element. Lily Rose Depp is possessed by Nosferatu. He has power over her, and she does a lot of like spooky little possession scenes while Nicholas Holt is gone. And yeah, it's good. It's good scary stuff. You've also got Willem Dafoe in this movie and Aaron Taylor Johnson. Aaron Taylor Johnson plays the friend of Nicholas Holt's character, the solicitor, who takes Lily Rose Depp in while Nicholas Holt is gone. Willem Dafoe plays the Van Helsing character, the professor that sort of figures out what's going on, and that oh, the plague that is hitting the city is actually from Nosferatu. Bill Skarsgård is Count Orlok, aka Nosferatu. Interesting tidbit about his performance. So, the voice that Nosferatu has is actually Bill Skarsgård, which is crazy if you've seen this movie because his voice is so deep and imposing and scary. And Bill Skarsgård does not sound like that in real life. He has a much higher voice. Apparently, he met with like opera coaches. He did Hungarian throat singing to like train his voice to be able to go as low and gravelly. And like the first time he speaks, you're like, "Ooh, this guy, I don't like this guy."
Wait, so Nicholas Hoult plays. Oh wait,
The solicitor.
Bill Skarsgård is Nose.
Yeah, he's Nos.
Oh, but his name is Count Orlok.
Yeah, that's his actual name, right?
Oh, okay.
Um but like he's like, you will obey this my counsel in a much scary, more
And it doesn't sound
gravelly
goofy.
way. And what?
It doesn't sound goofy.
No, not at all.
It sounds really scary.
Yeah.
So you're a little baby who's scared of movies.
And I was afraid, and
you peed your pants.
I didn't pee my pants. I was super brave to not pee my pants.
And you called me in the middle of the movie and made me bring a change of undies for you.
Oh my, yeah, right. But I liked it overall. I definitely liked it overall. I do have an issue with it though, and I guess I already sort of mentioned that he goes on a journey across the ocean, right?
Yeah.
And now that we all know that this is a ripoff of Dracula, I think we can all admit that. It makes sense why they would keep the chapter the chapter in Dracula is called Captain's Log, and it's literally just Dracula picking off members of the crew one by one as he makes his way from Romania to England. It makes sense why he has to take a boat to England, don't it? He needs to take a boat to England, right? But also in Dracula, he brings like
He didn't take the channel.
No, he brings in Dracula he brings like 50 or more crates of earth with him because he needs them, right?
Well, wait. Big crates or little crates?
Micah, like coffin sizes, because he needs to sleep in them.
Oh, so those are his homes.
Yes,
I thought that it was like I've got a jar of dirt. I thought it was like that. I'm not kidding.
No, he needs to rest in his dirt. He needs to rest in his dirt.
Okay, but I didn't know if that meant like sprinkle a little dirt on your. Put a little dirt under your pillow for the dirt. I didn't know if it was like that or.
Is Nosferatu the dirt man? Yikes, that's a scary thought.
I didn't know what that meant. That's why I'm asking. That's why I was picturing it. I've got a jar of dirt.
No, this is where the idea.
The people want to know. I'm asking the questions that the people want to know.
This is where the idea of vampires needing to go to sleep in their coffin comes from.
Okay.
Because Dracula.
Why didn't you just say that?
That would not have cleared anything up. You would have been a pain about it no matter what. So he puts all these coffins, these boxes, as the cargo of the Demeter is the name of the ship. And the Captain's Log chapter.
That a Greek god?
Yes, the
goddess.
Yes, the chapter is about him just picking off everybody, and Nosferatu wants to have that because that's a really cool chapter in the book. So, because they stole pretty much everything else, they steal the Demeter chapter. But the problem is, in this movie, Nosferatu
doesn't work.
No.
Bill
Ferratu.
Yeah, that one works.
Okay. In this one, Bill Ferratu only brings his casket with him. Just one, right?
He only brings one jar of dirt.
He only brings one jar of dirt with him. So why in the sweet slippery does he need...
That's like your fourth F word. That's so obnoxious.
Okay, do you want me to say that again?
Yes!
That was kind of a funny one though, wasn't it?
Okay, keep it. It's just annoying. It's going to be annoying to edit.
Why in sweet misery does Count Orlok want to take the nautical route from Romania to Germany? And I looked up where this is supposed to be taking place. Well, it doesn't really matter because there's really only one way to get to Germany from the sea, and that's, from the north. So if you pull out a map, everybody pull out a map real quick.
Hang on, let me pull up my map.
Find Romania for me.
Wait, hang on.
Okay.
Hang on, I gotta go all the way to Europe.
Yeah.
Okay, found Romania.
Okay. So
So he starts in the Black Sea.
yes, that's the only place he can start. I'm glad you noticed that.
Thanks.
Right? That's the only place he can start because he's definitely on the ocean, by the way. He is not traveling via rivers. It's very clear in this movie he's on the ocean. So
What made that clear to you?
the waves and the fact that there's no banks or land, you know,
Maybe they were big
there's
rivers.
storms as well. Um, so he takes the boat into the Black Sea. Where does he go from there? He needs to take the what is this strait called?
In Istanbul?
Istanbul, Old Istanbul, Odessa, Feribotu, whatever that. I don't know if that's right. He's gonna have to take that strait, which puts him in the Sea of Marmara, and then he's gonna have to go through the tunnel, right?
Basically, he just goes all the way around,
Yeah. So it's gonna spit him out
all the way
in
through the Mediterranean.
into the North Aegean Sea, and then he's gonna, take the Aegean Sea
Right, I think we
to the
got it.
Mediterranean
We're
Sea.
going all the way
He,
around Spain and Portugal.
yep, he's gonna go through the Strait of Gibraltar eventually, and then he's gonna have to circumnavigate all of Spain, and then he's going to circumnavigate all of France, probably make his way past Netherlands, Denmark, and then sail around Denmark and land in Germany, right?
Wait, why did he have to go that way? Why didn't he just land on the closer side of Germany?
Oh, you're right. You're right. Okay, so he's just gonna land on
Sorry, can
the.
you say that again?
He's gonna land. He's not gonna have
Can
to
you say that
go.
again?
What do you mean? He's gonna pass through the English Channel,
I want you
right?
to say I'm right.
Yeah, you're right. He's gonna
Okay.
pass through the English Channel and then past Netherlands, and then he's in Germany. So very long trip. Like back when this movie takes place, this would have taken months for him to make this
If not a
trip.
year.
Right. There's no reason for him to be taking that route because he can put one casket into a carriage. That's exactly what Dracula does at the end of Dracula. Because at the end of Dracula, they've destroyed all of his jars of dirt except for one, and because there's only one left, he's like, "Oh, well, it'll be much quicker if I travel back to Transylvania in a carriage because like just look at the distance. That's obviously faster." There's no reason for Nosferatu to be going on this huge sea voyage besides they need to have the Demeter chapter. So,
They wanted to, right? They wanted to, right?
right, that's the only reason. And that's like when you think about it, you're like, that's just kind of lame. But that's the only real issue I have with it. Pretty scary, pretty spooky. I'll rate it now. I think I would give this movie I'd give it like a 7.5. I'll give it a 7.5. Very cool carriage scenes out of 10, no matter what Micah says.
I literally was
No,
validating
you
you.
weren't. You weren't. You said it. You said it looked stupid.
No,
You said it looked like a dumb, stupid thing. Um,
Parents Guide.
Parents Guide, not for kids. There is some graphic violence. There is some nudiness. There is and very like heavy sexual undertones with Lily Rose Depp's character and Nos, our boy Nos.
Bill Ferratu.
Yeah, Bill Ferratu. Um, there were some shocking scenes in this movie. So
Are we in spoilers?
yeah, we're in spoiler section. Nos eventually makes his way to Germany and shows up in Lily Rose Depp's room, and she's staying in the home of Aaron Taylor Johnson's character. And Aaron Taylor Johnson is married with two children in the movie. And anyway, that'll become important in a second. Nosferatu shows up in Lily Rose Depp's bedroom, and he's like, "You belong to me, babe, but you must recommit your vows," because apparently she committed to him when she was really young, but she needs to do it again now that she's grown and now that she's married someone else. And she's like, "No, I don't like you. You're kind of gross." And he says, "Okay, you've got 3 days to change your mind. Every day you don't change your mind, people around you are going to die. Toodles." And then he flies out the window. Oh, by the way, Nosferatu brings plague rats with him. So I guess maybe you could say that's the reason he needs to take the boat so the plague can happen. But does the plague really need to happen? Like the plague of there being a vampire, I feel like is sort of enough. You know, He can feed on people. He can convert other vampires. That's a big enough problem to me. But whatever. So the plague starts breaking out. People are dying. People are killing. People are dying. Children are hurting. Hear them crying. Do you know what I'm quoting?
Mm-mm.
And you practice what you preach, but then you turn the other cheek. Father, 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 help us. Need some
The
guidance
Black Eyed
from
Peas.
above. Yeah. How did that take you that long to get that lyric?
I don't
It's.
know.
I'm sorry, Pepper Jack. You can cut that.
Okay.
Yeah. So people start dying, but what's shocking though is Bill Ferratu kills Aaron Taylor Johnson's wife.
Oh, why?
He feeds on her because he told Lily Rose Depp, every day that you don't decide, I'm gonna take people, and then I'm gonna take your husband on the last day. So he kills her friend, drinks the blood of her friend, but he doesn't stop there. He kills their two daughters,
Ew.
and it kind of shows it.
Ew.
And I was like, whoa, like shows and films never show children
Yeah.
being hurt like that. So it was like it was pretty oof
How old were the kids?
young, like
Like 6?
yeah, 6 to 8.
That's sad.
Yeah. So yeah, there's some dark stuff that happens in this, and then obviously Aaron Taylor Johnson is upset, understandably, when he finds that his family has been killed and has them buried. And in Dracula, sort of similar things happen. So the character that is the parallel to the friend, the woman, the mother of the two children, the character that is her parallel in Dracula is turned into a vampire, and they all have to kill her, which sucks because
In
they,
the book.
yeah, in the book, because they all really like her. But in the book, like everybody sort of bands together. You've got the solicitor, you've got Van Helsing, and then you've got the guy that married the other lady that turns into a vampire, and then you've got this other guy, this guy from Texas. That's kind of cool, right? Um, but they all like form a super team basically, and they're all like have each other's backs, and it's a big bromance, and all it's all cool and stuff. And that's sort of how it was what it was turning into at the end of Nosferatu. And I was like, oh yeah, I remember this. Everybody's joining forces to get rid of this nasty, raggedy ass vampire. But Mr. What's his name, Aaron Taylor Johnson, originally, like, he starts off all gung ho, ready to help, but then he's like, I'm sad. So he goes to the
Because that's his
mausoleum.
wife.
Yeah. So he goes to the mausoleum where his wife was buried and his kids are buried, and he opens up his wife's casket and gives her a smoochy wooch. And it's sort of maybe implied that he does other things, but maybe not. I don't know. It's kind of scary to think about it. Um, but he dies because he has caught the plague and he doesn't help them.
Wait, I thought that she was a vampire, though, so why did he go
No,
in?
no, no. So that doesn't happen in Nosferatu, I
Oh.
guess.
Okay, so that doesn't happen.
It seems like Nosferatu doesn't turn people into vampires. So I guess that's different. But yeah, like there's some dark stuff, and then Lily Rose Depp ends up having to sacrifice herself. It's the only way to defeat him is to force him to stay out until sunrise. It was sort of unclear because like Dracula he can live during sunlight hours. He just sort of loses his power.
Oh, but it's not like he like gets burned by the sun.
No, he doesn't get burned by the sun. He just sort of he doesn't become strong. He's not strong like he normally is,
So he's just a boy.
and he can't turn into animals like he can at night. And so then he's vulnerable. He can be killed. But in Nosferatu, he is killed by the sun. But I don't know why it was so important for them to for Lily Rose Depp to sacrifice herself, because they got rid of his coffin and he needs to rest in his coffin. So either way, he would have been in trouble. He's not making it back to Transylvania in one night.
From Germany.
Yeah, at least they don't show that he can travel superhumanly fast. I mean, maybe he can. I don't know. It was a little bit unclear why she really needed to perform the sacrifice. But anyway, that's what she does. She basically distracts him all night long until
Braden put air quotes around that.
yeah,
That you
it's
can't see.
really freaking like it's gross.
Yeah.
It's not super graphic, but it's gross just because Nosferatu has a gross old porous body with sores and just. I saw this meme and it was Nosferatu staring into her eyes and her staring into his eyes, and the meme's caption was, "You just know his breath smelled like straight shit." You're like, I was like, I was thinking that in the movie. I was thinking exactly that.
That's so funny.
But yeah, so she distracts him all night long, and he bites her and kills her because he's drinking her blood. But then he burns up to a crisp, and that's how it ends. So
Okay.
pretty good, pretty spooky. Got some shocking moments. It's not perfect though. I've got some problems with it, as you've heard, and that's all I have to say about that. Now I'm really gonna speedrun this next one, because frankly, it's just getting ridiculous that I haven't talked about it at this point. I watched Fargo season 3 like 2 years ago, and um, and it was really good. And I'm sad that I can't talk about it. So season 3 is much more akin to season 1. How, you may ask? Vibes.
How?
Vibes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's a smaller story, right? It's not really like a gang war story like in season 2, and it really sort of focuses on these two brothers, both played by Ewan McGregor. One is a rich man, one is a poor man.
Wait, he plays both
He
brothers?
plays both brothers, and they're estranged and they have issues with each other. And then you get this character played by David Thewlis, who is Lupin from Harry Potter, and he is this.
Oh, he's kind of scary.
Yeah, he's like, I was trying to sort of figure out what he represented because he sort of felt like the villain from season 1, how he represented the devil.
Uh-huh.
This guy felt larger than life in that way too. And
But you don't think he represented
no,
the
I
devil?
think he might represent just greed and capital, like evil capitalism, capitalism taken too far. He ends up showing up, and apparently the good brother had taken a loan from this guy back when things were in the 2008 crash. I think he took a loan from this guy, and they want to pay it back, but the guy's like, "You don't understand. That's not why we're here. What we did was an investment, not a loan. Now we own you."
That was a really good impersonation, and I'm not being sarcastic.
So
I saw
that's
this scene, and honestly, Braden got that spot on.
yeah. So like it's kind of clear that he's in trouble. Like he can't really get out of this, and now he's swimming with the sharks. Yeah, I'm not gonna give too much more away. It's Fargo. Like there's gonna be some crazy things that happen, some crazy ways that people die, some violence, mystical elements, lots of humor, lots of callbacks to former Coen Brothers movies. There's a whole scene in a bowling alley that happens that feels very Big Lebowskian. It's absolutely Big Lebowskian. It's really good. I really, really enjoyed this season, and I would give it a. What did I give season 1? Do you remember?
No.
Oh, okay.
Like you said, that was 3 years ago.
I'll give it a 9.5. I thought this was really strong, really interesting.
Nine
Every
and a half what?
every subplot was super good. I'll give it a 9.5 stinky bean British teeth out of 10.
Yeah, that's fair. Parents Guide?
Parents Guide. It's still really violent, and there are some naughty, sweary words said. Not too many, I don't think. There's a crazy scene at the beginning. Spoiler time, I guess. I just got to talk about this crazy scene real quick, where so Mister
In
Mister
between?
Mister Doofus brother, the loser Ewan McGregor brother, he is a parole officer, and he hires one of his parolees to break into his rich brother's house and steal this stamp that's worth a lot of money because he feels like he was owed it. It was his birthright, and his brother kind of tricked him out of it. Um, so he hires this parolee, and this is another Big Lebowski reference actually, because the parolee is on his way to the house, and he's smoking in the car, and he has the address on a piece of paper, and he tries to flick the cigarette butt out of the window, and
But
it bounces off the window and burns him, and he's like, ah!
because
And
the
then
window's rolled up.
yeah, and then somehow the paper gets lost. No, the window isn't rolled up. He just misses.
Oh, okay.
Um, and then the paper flies out of the window. He goes to the wrong address because he can't remember what the town is, and he ends up driving to a town with a similar name and finds a guy named Stussy, who's this is the last name of the two brothers, and thinks that this is the guy who he's supposed to steal from, and glues the guy's nose and mouth shut because he resists,
Oh shit.
kills him by accident.
What did he think was gonna happen when he did that though?
Um, I don't know. He's a junkie, and he brings back the stamps that he found, and they're just regular old postage stamps. And the brother is like, "What is this? This is not what I asked for." And he, gets all up in the guy's face, and the guy's like, "Listen, man, I don't like the way you're talking to me, and you know what? I think I'm gonna extort you now for money." And pulls a gun on the guy. Emmett Stussy is the loser brother. His girlfriend is there, who's played by, oh, what's her name? Real life wife of Ewan McGregor.
Oh really?
Yeah, what is her name? Mary Elizabeth Winstead, played by Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who is this also a former parolee of Emmett's. So he's dating his parolee,
Okay,
which is not ethical.
and I wonder if it's even legal.
But it's true. It's true love, though. It actually is true love in this case. It's kind of a weird, odd coupling, but
It's true love.
they're bad influences on each other, though. But they love each other, anyways. The guy leaves the apartment, and as he's climbing down the stairs, Mary Elizabeth Winstead is unscrewing the air conditioner and like counting in her head. So she's practiced this before. You can tell she knows exactly how many seconds it should take for him to go down the stairs and get to the front door of the apartment complex. She unscrews all the screws of the air conditioning unit, has Emmett push it out the window right as the guy comes
Oh
out
my
of the door and
gosh.
he's having a smoke. And the air conditioner smashes onto this guy's head and kills him
Oh my
because they can't,
gosh.
they can't have him out in the wild.
Extorting and knowing all this.
Yeah, and that's that's how the first episode ends. I was like, I'm in. This is crazy.
What?
So this was really good. I'm sorry that I didn't have my notes ready for this, and I wish I would have talked about it sooner. But this is very, very good. Very much enjoyed it. I think that's all I've got.
I think by the time this video comes out, I will have already released my special video.
Yeah, that's coming out on. Yeah, you're right.
It would
Yeah,
have already come out.
if
That's
you're
okay. Go watch it.
by the time you're hearing this, I'll be dead. Just kidding. I'll have released my special video. That's what Micah just said.
What do we have coming up?
So we watched.
A Real Pain.
Yeah. I will need to talk about Fargo season 4.
My gosh.
That's how much time has passed since I finished season 3. I finished all of season 4. So there's that. What else? Anything
I would
else?
look at my phone, but you made me throw it away.
Yeah, I did. It was causing feedback that was bad and evil. Like Nosferatu.
That's all I can think of what's coming up.
Nosfer-
Oh, probably Silo. I will probably be
oh,
ready to talk about Silo.
okay. Yeah, that'll be good.
Season 2. So, yeah, that's what's coming up. Go check out my video.
Yeah, go watch it.
It's on our YouTube channel. Anytime we have one of these videos that just one of us makes, they're only on YouTube.
Yeah.
And it's just.
And they're not nearly as long as these. They're usually, 5 to 10-ish minutes.
Unless you're Braden, who just loves to yap.
Sometimes they can be longer, just depending on the subject matter. But they're scripted, right? They're more organized. They're more streamlined. Not to say that our stream of consciousness isn't streamlined. It's very lean, wouldn't you say?
All right, Mr. Yapper. Anyways, have a great week, everybody. Bye.